Hey y'all. So, as you already know, we have a super powerful full moon that is coming upon us on August the 19th, 2024, in the sign of Aquarius. And at this particular time, along with the full moon, the energy in the skies are bringing forth chaos, tension, struggle, just thickness, and not necessarily bad, change and transformation and sudden shocking events, all of those things. But we're going to talk about why this full moon and all of those energies at this particular moment in time is doing what they're doing. We're going to talk about those details, tease it out, and describe how it's going to be affecting each and every one of you based on your sun, moon, or rising signs. But first, before we even get into that, let's talk about what a full moon actually is. So a full moon is an opposition between the moon and the sun. And sometimes we can categorize oppositions as challenging energy. It really just depends on what sign the sun and the moon are in, and do those signs or their ruling planets, do they play nicely? Right? So you have the sun and the moon sitting across from each other, giving us our full moon. And in full moon energies bring forth with it a burst of energy. A surge of energy that energizes us to move and to do things, to make action, where we didn't before. So if you had a desire to change something, if you had an idea, if you wanted to do something, and you have a full moon hitting it with its burst of energy, you're going to move on that thing. But full moon's energy is so unrefined, is so unprocessed. It's kind of chaotic in itself, because it's just new and it's just a burst of thing. Although it has an energy of bringing things to fruition. It has an energy of bringing things to light, but it's still untamed because we haven't had a chance to sit with that energy and direct it in the way that we want it to do, and to bring about what we want it to bring about, because it hits us so suddenly. Now, what's special about this full moon and all of its glory, bringing its energy with it, it's going to be very close to us. And so this is why it's a super moon. A super full moon happens when the moon is close to us. So we feel its energy a bit more potently, right? Because it's closer to us. So we have that going on. Not only do we have that going on, we have some other challenging conversations in the skies, or challenging conversations between the planets that are happening in the skies. And I call it conversations because it's easier to kind of convey exactly what's happening. And so if you think about it, think about yourself when you're having a conversation with your best friend, or you're having a conversation with somebody that you get along with. The energy is easy. You're passing ideas, you're laughing, you're keying, and everything is all good because the energy between you and that person, or between you and those people, if it's a group of friends, it's all good. But imagine the person that you don't get along with at work because they always got a snide remark. They always are too critical. They always are very nosy. They always are, you name it. They're doing something that just rubs you the wrong way, or you're doing something that rubs them the wrong way, and the energy between you is just not good. Or every time you get in a room with somebody, you have it's argument, it's frustration, it's, you know what I mean? It's just not easy. And so I like for you to think about it that way, because this is actually what's happening in the sky. It's not the easy conversations that's happening. It's the ones that are hard. It's the one that brings intensity. It's the ones that bring the challenges and the struggles and the conflict. That is what's actually happening. And that is, those conversations are being energized by the energy that the moon is bringing. So what are those aspects or those conversations like that are happening in the sky? Number one, we have oppositions. Number two, we have squares. So oppositions aren't necessarily bad, but they do bring intensity, and it depends on how those planets actually gel or not with each other. So an opposition is the planets standing directly across from one another, right? So like the sun and the moon is directly across from each other. The moon is going to be in Aquarius and the sun is going to be in Leo. That's 180-degree opposition. So we have other oppositions that's coming along. And so oppositions, all of these conversations in the sky, they beg certain questions. And so oppositions, you want to know, the first thing you want to ask yourself when you figure out, is this going to be an opposition, is, okay, what is the level of intensity going to be? Is this aspect bringing balance? Is it bringing challenge? Do these planets get along? Is it a you scratch my back, I scratch your back thing? You do for me, I do, like, you know what I mean? Like, we get along? Or is it going to be a fight? Do they just not mix like oil and water? That's what you need to find out what's going on. And this is what we're going to talk about. The other type of conversation that's going on is the square. And the square is a 90-degree aspect. It's a hard angle. This is a full-on battle, okay? A full-on battle is bringing tension, it's bringing struggle, it's bringing conflict. And the questions that you should be asking when we're having squares is, what is the solution going to be? Because you have to figure out the solution. Like, what is coming up that's causing this challenge that I have to solve? Right? Also, what squares do is they force you to ask the question, where do I find my strength in this? Right? I know there are certain challenges that I have gone through, and I didn't even know that I had the strength that I had until that challenge, that conflict, that struggle brought it out of me. And so that is what the square is going to do. So it ain't necessarily bad, in my opinion. I'm not going to say I like, because it's not always comfortable, but the squares with the challenging energy that it brings, it always brings the aftermath, is the staying power of what that challenge is unearthing, right? And so when you're having a square, you want to ask yourself, who am I now? Who do I want to be, or who will I be when this challenge is over? Right? And that's all about how you're going to solve that conflict, right? So what is the challenge trying to teach you is what you need to be asking, right? How can I dig deep and find my strength? Okay. And so, yes, people are talking about, oh, you need to go hide under a rock. You need to be scared, and you need to do. No, you don't need to do that. You need to be brave, right? And so people, yes, they're going to be not acting like themselves. You might not be acting like yourself, but if you're informed, you need to check that. Like, you're here and you're having this conversation with me right now. If you feel yourself being irrational, you need to check that shit. You need to calm it down, right? So what I'm saying is, understand that the energy is going to bring about irrational behavior in people. It's going to bring shocking things out. Things are going to shock you. Right? The energy might want to take something away from you, but no, if it takes something away from you, that thing that is taken away from you, it don't serve you, and it's going to replace it with something that will, either immediately or eventually. Okay. But it's your job to figure out what the energy is trying to move you toward. How are you going to do that? By asking yourself those questions that we just asked a few moments ago, right? And so to become a better you got to figure out what these challenges are actually trying to bring you, right? It's the challenges, it's the struggles that teach you your strength. It shows you the depths of who you are. It rips layers into you. And no, it might not always be comfortable. comfortable, but you know what? You do become better. And right, without having those, you will never know who you can be. You never know what you can accomplish. So welcome the challenges. Welcome this energy. Know what's going on so that you can use it to get to where you have to go. And understand that whatever experience it brings you, your whole being is going to know why you will or you won't do something, why you will be with somebody, why you won't, why you will do that job, why you won't, why you will put that business in play, why you won't, why you will have that relationship, while you won't. And guess what? Every single last fiber of you, because of the experience that the challenge is bringing you, is going to know why you will or you won't. And I always tell my son, when you have an experience that moves you in such a way, your toenails, why you know why you going to do something and why you won't. So welcome this. Don't hide. Be brave. Right? There will be heightened emotions, but keep your composure. And you know what? The composed is always in control. The composed always win. Just be prepared. And this is why you're here, because I'm preparing you, right? So if it's raining, you want to have your raincoat, your rain boots, and your umbrella. If you're going to be stepping into battle, you want to have your spear. You want to have your sword. You want to have your shield. And you want to have your plan. You want to have a strategy, right? Because you can't win without a strategy. All right. So what are some of those challenging aspects that are happening? We're going to be having on August the 18th. So I'm going a couple days. The new moon is actually going to be on the 19th. So we got to get into what the energy is doing on the days leading up to the full moon, because like I said, the energy from the full moon is energizing all of this stuff. And you can feel the energy from this particular full moon at least a week or two before and a week or two after. So on August the 18th, Mercury is moving into Leo, and it's going to square Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus is all about, it can be all about chaos. It jostles you. It's all about shocking. It's about rebellion. It's about all of those things that's unconventional. It's about the freedom. It's about the split. It's about breaking things apart. Okay. And Mercury is squaring that. So Mercury right now is actually in retrograde. So Mercury in retrograde is like, this is another thing. Like, this is another layer of the conversations that's happening in the sky. Like, with Mercury being retrograde, it's an element of things from the past coming forward, right? And you're going to probably learn something with regards to where it touches in your house that you didn't know before. You're going to have a piece of information that you didn't know. It might be shocking in a good way or a bad way, for better or worse. You're going to find out. Okay. Then, the same day that it actually squares Uranus, Mercury is going to join the sun. And sometimes we say that when a planet joins the sun, its power can be turned down because it's being burned by the sun. We call that being combust. But in this case, it's far enough away from the sun where it's going to be getting good shimmers from the sun. It's going to be getting highlights. We call this a cazimi. This is auspicious. This is luck and opportunity. And so that information that you actually might get might be the information that you need to make the move that you need to make, the one piece that was missing from the puzzle, the one thing that was hidden from you. So you might learn something that's like, yeah, okay, I got this. All right. So you can make a move to becoming a better you, right? By having that information. Now, on the 19th, the next day, we have Venus in Virgo, and it's squaring Jupiter. Now, that may not be so bad because Venus and Jupiter are what we call benefics. They give gifts. They bring us good things, right? And so Venus rules our money. Venus rules our love. Jupiter just gives blessing on blessing, and it expands everything that it touches. But in this square between the two, it might be like, okay, it's showing you where you overdid something, because Jupiter expands something. So in love, Where are you allowing things to fly that probably shouldn't fly? Where are you sweeping things under a rug? Like, how long have you actually done that? Or how long has your partner allowed you to get away with some stuff? Right now, you just might not be able to get away with it. Okay. Where have you overspent? If we're talking about money, right? Where have you overdone your beauty treatments? Like, you need to slow down on the Botox. Quit with them lip injections right now. I'm joking, but I'm saying, like, Venus rules beauty. And so Jupiter squaring Venus is showing you, like, you OD'd, you overdid it. Chill out. Okay. And in the same day, Venus is going to oppose Saturn. And so that's not necessarily good, because Saturn is we call Saturn the taskmaster, but I like Saturn is like that teacher that has the ruler that sticks their finger out. No, you need to get back in line. You can't do this. Saturn is the parent that enforces the rules. And so if you got out of hand with your Venus, with Jupiter squaring it, then Saturn is going to come into play and have you put boundaries back in place, like fix things. Like now you're going to have to pay the piper with regards to wherever you OD'd, you overdid some things. And it's a fast moving aspect, so it's not going to stick around for too long. But if you fucked up, then Saturn is going to get you back in line, and you're going to fix whatever you messed up with regards to that Venus Jupiter conversation. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to say about that. Now, child, the biggie, we're going to have, like, we have a T square. We have a T square. So I want you to think, we talked about the opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Leo, the moon is in Aquarius. And then, like, imagine if you drew a line from the middle of them, and out at the end of that midline of that line that you drew from the middle of each, like, you have Uranus, and Uranus is what we call T squaring, like you draw in a T, right? So Uranus is what we're saying is T squaring the moon. It's T squaring the sun. Ooh, child. Now, we talked about Uranus being what it embodies. Like, it represents, Uranus wants to give you freedom, for better or worse. It wants to free you from, if it's not serving you, Uranus is going real quick. Uranus represents lightning, shocking, action, disruption, sudden, wake up, shake up. It's the wake up, shake up. Okay. And so with Uranus squaring, it's trying to bring you something, or break you away from something, so it can bring you to something. Shockingly, surprisingly, abruptly, and quick. Okay? Abrupt is the same thing as quick, but you get what I'm saying. And it brings chaos with it. You know what I mean? Or it can bring chaos. I mean, it might bring you something that have to make you move quick, but it's something that you actually wanted, right? So before this actually happens, let me back up a little bit. So you have Uranus is in Taurus. The moon and sun are in Aquarius and Leo. We talked about that, right? Lord. We have another big aspect or conversation that's happening. And this conversation this is usually not a good conversation. And this conversation is the square between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn, they just flat out don't like each other. I mean, not for real. Because maybe they like each other. Maybe they do, but this ain't real. This is not a good conversation. And so Jupiter is in Gemini. And Jupiter is in an air sign. And in Gemini, it tends to be all over the freaking place. Yes, Jupiter expands everything that it touches. It want to give gifts. It wants to do all of those things. But Gemini is an air sign. And so it's all over the goddamn place. It's everywhere. There's no structure to it. It's like, and it can be blown out of proportion. Okay. So then you have Jupiter squaring Saturn. And Saturn is like, oh, hell to the no. Like, that Jupiter kite is not going to fly. Okay? No. We need order. We need order in the court. We need boundaries. Are we following the rules? Like, you giving all of these gifts, you allowing all of this kite to fly. Like, what is this affecting? Right? Is this causing chaos? Have you even checked to see how given this thing is going to affect everything else? No, you haven't. And so we're going to put structure to this. That's what Saturn is doing. But before this square even happens, and it's happening on the same day as the full moon, Lord have mercy. It's being energized by the full moon. So it's even bigger than what it would ordinarily be without this energy giving it that boost. Let's back up a couple days, though. Now, on August the 14th, we had Mars going into Gemini. Now, Mars is like, Mars sets it off. Wherever Mars goes, like it's going into Gemini and it's conjuncting Jupiter. Mars is triggering Jupiter. So Jupiter is already expanding. It's already doing what it's doing. Imagine it being triggered by Mars. It's really going crazy. Mars is energizing Jupiter to go ham. Okay? To go ham. It's like, yes, do you. And it's like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. It's giving. We can't have all these cars on the road because they're going to crash. No, I'm just kidding. But Mars is energizing Jupiter. And then Mars and Saturn don't get along. So just think Mars is like the go, go, go. I don't think, I'm just going to go. I'm going to get shit done. I don't care what havoc I wreak in the process of getting done what I need to get done and getting what I want. And Saturn is and it's young energies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to go. And Saturn is the old, like, gray beard. No. You cannot. You need to calm down. And so on the 16th, Mars squares Saturn, agitating Saturn. Like, nah. Look what I did. I set Jupiter off, and this is going to piss you off. So that's adding fuel to the fire. Okay. But again, Saturn is like, never mind who you thought I was. I'm Saturn, bitch. You are not getting away with this. You're not. Okay? You're not. So it's a lot of stuff going on. And that is what makes this energy so crazy. It is like, we don't know really like what is going to happen. But again, like, we got to be prepared. And at the end of the day, this energy is going to bring us to our better selves, and what it is it's going to make us that much closer, because we are supposed to evolve. We are supposed to grow, and at the end of the day, this energy is helping us to do that. How are you going to use it? How is it affecting you in your chart? Well, we about to get into that right now. What is going on, Aquarius? Woo! This full moon on August the 19th, 2024 affects you directly. Oh my God. The energy is thick. The energy is intense. It's super potent. And it's also going to be lighting up and energizing with high-powered intensity every other conversation that's going on in the skies between our heavenly bodies. So how is it going to be affecting you personally, Aquarius? Well, first off, we have Mercury retrograde in Leo. Mercury has been retrograde since August the 4th in Leo, and that is in your 7th house, and it's being squared by Uranus in Taurus in your 4th house. So let's break this down, honeys. So what is Mercury? What does that represent? Mercury represents our thought processes, our ideas, information that is conscious and unconscious or subconscious to us from all sources. It represents groups, it represents siblings, it represents business transactions, it represents how we exchange ideas, how we exchange information, how we learn, how we convey our thoughts, and all things communication. That is in Leo in your 7th house. And then we have, well, let's talk about the 7th house. The 7th house deals with our partnerships, personal partnerships, our one-to-one relationships. That includes marriages. That includes our contracts, our relationship through contracts that we have, business partners, our competitors. It also rules our shadow self as it sits 180 degrees across from our first house. It rules lawyers, it rules mediators, counselors, and those topics. That's Mercury, information planet, communication planet in the 7th house of Leo. Then it's squaring Uranus in your 4th house. Well, let's talk about 4th house. 4th house is the house of home, family, roots, early childhood, your sense of security. It's your psychological foundation. It's your behaviors that are just of instinct. It rules the mother or the mother caregiver in your family, your past, your connection to the past, so your ancestors, your sense of security at home, your home life, your domestic life. It rules real estate, things of that nature. Your personal emotions, as the 4th house is ruled by Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. Moon rules our emotion. We have Uranus in there. What does Uranus represent? Uranus represents sudden, shocking disruption, or it could be disruptive energies, surprises. I call it the wake up, shake up planet, the wake up, shake up energies it calls forth. It wants to free us. It wants to break apart so that we can be living our highest ideals. So it sends jolts of energy. It rules the airwaves. It rules Aquarius. It rules you. It rules humanity. It rules the internet, all things electronic and wave like. And so that is in your 4th house. We have Mercury in your 7th house squaring Uranus. I don't think that this is a bad thing. Now, squares bring tension. They bring battle. They bring conflict and struggle. But here's the thing. Uranus does not like to be in Taurus. It's in what we call in its fall or detriment. So it's unable, it's not comfortable. So it's unable to give us its full smoke. So it's going to be a bit subdued. It's going to be powerful nevertheless, because it's getting energized by this full moon that's happening, but not as powerful as it could be without, because it's not strong. It's not in its strength. And, Mercury retrograde, of course, is bringing the element of the past. So what information, what ideas, what communication do we need to go back over Mercury retrograde with regards to our 7th house, partnership, marriage, one-to-one relationship, shadow self? What do we need to fix, edit, redo, go back over with regards to Mercury there? Retrograde, not a bad thing. This is actually great because Mercury you have the sun, number one, in Leo, and the sun loves to be in Leo because the sun rules Leo. So when the sun is in Leo, it's in full power. Now it's in Leo during the full moon, and a supermoon at that. So this is extra energy. And when the sun is at home, we're getting the best qualities. We're getting all the good that the sun has to give. It's giving what it needs to give. So we are radiant. We are happy. We are joyful. We're creative. We're in the highest energy. Like, we're dignified. We're ready to go. We're ready to step up and be a boss. We're ready to take leadership. We're doing the do, and we're doing it in a dignified way. And so when Mercury conjuncts or joins the sun, which it will do, it's going to be expressing its highest qualities, because normally when a planet conjuncts the sun, it's burnt up, because what we say, that's combust, because the planet can't give its full power, because it's being overshadowed and overpowered by the rays of the sun. So it can't give us its full strength. But no, not in this case. Mercury is far enough away from the sun to where it's getting all of that goodness. So that's double goodness that it's getting. And it's giving us its best quality. So whatever information that we did not have Mercury retrograde, and we're having to go back and fix and redo and edit, we're going to get the information that we need so we can make the best decision and put the best foot forward with regards to the house that Mercury is in, 7th house. So it's being shocked and energized by Uranus in the 4th house. You're gonna get the information that you need so that you can do what you need to do with regard to that 7th house, however it shows up. And it might be shocking, it might be erratic, but it's not necessarily so bad. You're getting the information that you need. I know it's dealing with the 7th house. So if you're dealing with a breakup, it's gonna happen suddenly. It might have been going on for so long, but this is when the bow actually breaks. And at the end of the day, guys, I'm not trying to sound extra, positive and happy about breakup or divorce or whatever the case may be. But if it's not serving you, Uranus wants to free you and liberate you from it. That's that energy. And it's for your highest good. And it's not necessarily the greatest thing, but it's something that needs to happen. And so it's coming from your 4th house. And so that might be disrupted. You might have to move suddenly because you're getting information with regards to this house that it's no longer going to happen. Or you could suddenly get married or suddenly move in together because you got the right information that you need. For better or worse, this is for your highest good. And it's happening between your 4th and your 7th houses. Now, and this is happening on the 18th, and that's getting a super surge from the full moon that's happening on the 19th. So on the full moon on the 19th, we also have Venus in Virgo of your 8th house, squaring Jupiter in your 8th house, squaring Jupiter in Gemini in your 5th house. Now let's break these energies down. Venus is in Virgo. Venus is luxury, our comforts, it's beauty, it rules our money, our relationships. Venus does not like to be in Virgo because it's choked in Virgo. It's overly criticized and nitpicked in Virgo, so it can't express itself fully the way it likes to. And it's said that it's in its detriment or in its fall, like it's not given its full power. So we're not getting all that we need to get from Venus. So how are we overly criticized with regards to our sexuality? Or how are we overly nitpicking with other people's resources? And what's going on with taxes? And I don't know, maybe the paperwork with regards to your divorce is just, maybe they're asking for things that is just overly excessive there. And anyway, Jupiter expands everything that it touches, and it's squaring Virgo. This is not easy energy. And so it's blowing that Venus unpleasant manifestation out of proportion. Jupiter does not like to be in Gemini. It's also what we call to be in a weak position. And so Jupiter is not giving us the full effects of what it would normally give us in the sign that it would like to be in a sign that it's neutral or in a sign that it's exalted in or whatever. In Gemini, it's actually all over the place. It's erratic. It's irresponsible. It's overly optimistic. It's overly indulgent, and it's giving what it doesn't need to give. And that's coming from your fifth house. So how are you? I mean, fifth house rules our romantic relationships. It rules our kids. It rules our creative babies, our physical babies, kids. It rules drama. So how are we doing the most with regards to that? It's affecting the eighth house. Are we over sexualizing ourselves? Like, do we need to calm that down? Like, are we overly critical sexually of our partner? Well, it's busting at the seams right now, but not to worry. It's a quick transit. Venus, it's not going to be that long. And so Venus is going to actually oppose Saturn in Pisces from your second house. So your second house of personal resources, your second house of self-worth. Are you going to see that you're just overly sexualize eighth house and realize that it's affecting your self-image or your self-worth, and you kind of tone it down? Saturn is going to show you that from your second house. It's going to show you from your sense of self-worth, from your personal resources, where you're actually doing the most and what boundaries you need to erect so that you're not in excess of this expression of Venus in your eighth house. Okay. And that's quick. It's going to quickly show you, it's going to quickly allow you to put things in place. So don't worry. After all, Venus and Jupiter are benefic planets. So maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's not so bad, but you will be given an opportunity to fix this with that Saturn Venus opposition. Now, on the same day, we have our big energy. The big energy is actually going to be our full moon. What is a full moon, though? Let's break it down. A full moon is an opposition. When planets oppose each other, they are 180 degrees across from each other in the skies, and the opposite houses on the houses that share the same axis. So they are having a conversation sitting directly across the table from one another. And so you have the sun and the moon having a conversation. And when planets oppose each other, that conversation can be a pleasant conversation. They mix energies. They want to bring about balance. Ultimately, oppositions, they want to bring about, and squares, all of them want to bring about balance, but the way they actually do it can just manifest differently through the conversations that they have based on the energies between the two planets. And so they can have arguments, they can have heated discussions. I don't feel like this full moon, this opposition between the sun and the moon, is going to be a heated conversation at all, at least not in a bad way. I think it's going to be an amazing conversation because the sun is actually in Leo, and the sun is actually giving its power to the moon, and the sun is particularly energized when it's in Leo because it rules Leo. It loves to be at home. And again, when the sun is at home, we're happy, we're joyful, we're creative, we're in our power, we're dignified, we're ready to go, we're ready to take the lead in a strong way. This is really, really strong, potent, powerful energy, and that energy is bursting forth, and it's giving dynamic power to the moon. And so what is the moon? The moon holds our innermost desires, our deepest desires that are held closely to us, our innermost private thoughts that nobody knows, our dreams, our secret dreams, our intuitions, things that we can't actually express, but we just know on a deepest level. It's our highest ideals of how we hold ourselves and the things that we wish, or the experiences that we wish to have. And when the moon goes into a particular house, those secret desires and highest ideals relate to that specific house. And that house is, guess where? It's your first house, Aquarius. So this is super personal to you. And so what is your first house? Your your first house is the house of your image, your first impressions, how people see you in the world, the vibes that you give off. Your highest ideal of yourself is being illuminated and energized super powerfully by the full moon. And you are going to have the power to make manifest those ideals because the moon is sitting with you and it's super close to us and it's getting this powerful burst of energy, good energy from the sun that's in its power. I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. And yes, it's being squared by Uranus. But again, Uranus does not like to be in Taurus. So it can't give us all the smoke that it could possibly give. I don't know how it's affecting you in your chart because I don't know what actually is going on in your chart. But here's the thing. It's giving you sudden revelations and sudden impetus to bring forth your ideals. And that might seem erratic to others. You might appear as erratic and just, all over the place. But that's because that full moon energy bursting forward from the sun, energizing it, giving it power, is untamed raw energy that's hitting you for the first time. And you haven't had much time to sit with it and direct it in ways that you need to, but you will be able to as the days and weeks go on. And I don't necessarily think that this is a bad thing, although it could be, because square energies are not the easiest energies to deal with. So don't be scared, be brave, and find your strength to bring forward, which I think you will be given strength, and you will evolve through this energy, because ultimately that's what squares call us to do. What is the solution to this challenge you might be having with trying to call forth everything, the ideals that you hold true to you on the deepest level? Like, how are you going to find the solution and the strength to bring those things forward? You will find it. You will have it. And so just moving on to for more energy of the day, on the 19th, we have Jupiter squaring Saturn in Pisces. And I just want to back up for a minute. On August the 14th, you have Mars go into Gemini and energize Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is super erratic. It's blindly optimistic, is just excessive, overly indulgent, and it can be irresponsible when it's in Gemini because it doesn't like to be there. Gemini is an air sign, blowing that out of proportion. So it could be that way. And when you put Mars there, Mars is raw, untamed energy, like that can cause an explosion. So it's just adding fuel to the fire, to that untamed Jupiter in your fifth house. So Jupiter is really going crazy there. And then that same Mars is going to move on, and it moved on, and it agitated Saturn. So if you think of Mars as like the young soldier who just wants to charge ahead and just move without strategy, just wants to blow shit up. But if it goes too fast, things can go wrong. And so think of Saturn like that old general that understands if you go 2 clicks to the right, you can get your head blown off. And he's like, no, we're not doing that. We need to stay safe. We need to have a strategy. We need to put boundaries in place, because Saturn knows the boundaries. It knows what strategies are best. And it agitates Saturn. So Saturn is going to be super turned on by the time we have that square from Jupiter and Saturn on the 19th. And so when we have that, know this as well. Jupiter and Saturn came together 4 years ago in a conjunction in 2020. And so when 2 planets come together, a seed is planted, an idea, an expression that you want to make manifest, and that unfolds. And the unfolding hasn't yet happened. It's going to unfold in the next couple of years or months or whatever. And so what seed did you plant in 2020 with regards to those 2 houses? You'll know what it is. with regards to those two planets. You'll know. And so during the conjunction, they come together. A seed is planted. I want you to think of the mother and father coming together to create a seed, a baby. That's what happens when all planets join. And this is what happened when Saturn and Jupiter join. And so when they actually get to the opposition, then you see the fullness of that seed that was planted. You see the fruit. It bears fruits during the opposition. But during the square, what we're going to have now, that's the halfway point. And this is the opportunity for you to pull the weeds with regards to that, actually, that seed that was planted. When I say pull the weeds, what's working with it? What's not? You are going to have to get rid of some things that's not serving the purpose of that seed that was planted, which is ultimately not serving you. And you're going to have to find your strength to do it, to get rid and to pull what doesn't work with regards to that seed. And that's not necessarily easy. What do you have to get rid of? And so this is in regards to your fifth and your second houses, right? So what changes are you going to have to make with regards to your money, second house, and self-worth, right? Like what's not serving your personal resources? What's not serving your sense of self-worth with regards to your fifth house? What's being overdone there that you have to get rid of? You're going to have to do that. Fifth house, Saturn in Pisces is going to show you how you're going to have to implement those boundaries and those strategies in place to put order where there is none. Jupiter in Gemini, where it's just too much going on. So don't be scared, be brave, have courage. Like, know that the hard aspects in life helps us to know the depths of our strengths. And I know for me, if I didn't go through some of the hardest moments that I've ever had to go through in life, I would never know my strength. You know what I mean? I would, if I hadn't taken the courage that I needed to take to face a huge challenge or a problem, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Now, we're all on a path of evolution. And so every now and then we have these things that wake us, shake us, and call us to make a decision to step into that strength. And that's what is happening for you now. You're prepared. So don't allow this energy to handle you. You handle it. And you become who you are supposed to become, so you can realize the thing, so that you can participate and enjoy the fruit of that seed that you planted all those years ago. Okay, that's the point. That is the point. You become who you need to become, and you have the strength you need to do it. And the universe is always on your side for you to do it. And when we don't do those things, when we should do them, sometimes we're forced to do it, but ultimately it's for our highest good. And I really do feel like this is for your highest good, especially because this is happening in your first house, Aquarius. So you have the power. Take hold, and you bring forward those ideals that you hold close, and you become the best you can be. And so if you got or you learned anything, please like and subscribe. Please share with your folks and come back and have a conversation with us. Let me know in the comments how you have handled this energy. I have given you everything, hopefully, to prepare you for the rain that might be coming. If it does come, you got your umbrella, you got your rain boots, and you got your rain coat. If it rains, keep it pushing. Stay prepared. If you have to go into battle, you pull out that sword, you pull out that shield, and you fight to become your best you, because that's what's at stake here. And you got this. You got this, okay? Let me know how it works out for you in the comments. And until next time, you guys, keep your hearts open and your spirits connected.